Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to this other edition of Prime on my Media Prime. This evening, in the spirit of the National Day celebration that is supposed to be taking place across the nation tomorrow, we are going to stay in the spirit of that celebration, looking at 20th of May 1972 to the what is going to be celebrated tomorrow, asking ourselves how well has national unity integration worked in Cameroon. And we also are going to be looking at the concept of unity in diversity, asking whether it's time to build a true Cameroonian identity. We are discussing these two topics with our panelists who are in the house. Apostle Ambe Valentine Ngwa is a permanent consultant. Good evening and welcome, Apostle.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, Cameroonians. Good evening, my co-panelists, Dr. John. Good evening, each and everyone across the globe. And you're welcome to today's edition of Prime Hour. We are talking about 20th May from 1972 to 2022. 50 years of unity. God bless you.
We also are going to be discussing with Dr. John Ako, who is a lecturer, also very active member of Cameroon Civil Society. Good evening, welcome.
Yeah, Leonard, it's a pleasure once more again talking about Cameroon. 1972, a memorial period. Cameroonians have been wondering and thinking if really the stakes and challenges of this country could be answered by what the New Deal government call it the New Republic. Has the New Republic been capable of fulfilling the promises they made the witches and equally the horses of Cameroonians? I believe very strongly that 1972 would have been memorable if really was a national day. But what happened in 1984, that went on silent by a presidential decree, simply watered down a lot of those intentions which the founding fathers of this particular nation had in mind.
Okay, we are also expecting the arrival into our studios of Charles Élie Zang. He is going to be representing the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the CPDM, on this platform. He should be caught in traffic. We hope he beats it. Apostle Ambe Valentine Ngwa, national unity in slogan almost everywhere when there is a celebration in Cameroon. You have banners carrying national unity. Anytime a minister or high-profile personality delivers a speech, there is always that talk about national unity. How did our government engage in its implementation?
Yes, Mr. Leo, the facts are very glaring in this country, Cameroon, that the 50 years we claim to have been united have been 50 years of complete division, strife, and a moment of tension. All this why we have observed this country move from one stage of tension to another, one challenge to another, and we keep singing the song of national unity, and we have not felt the impact of national unity in this country because almost every part of the country is disintegrated. And there are cries from every angle. Everybody is trying to find their way out. If you bring Cameroon within the context of a family, you will discover that it's a home that nobody wants to see the other. Children coming from the same womb, but they are so divided, so disintegrated, and they hate each other with passion. Nobody wants to see the other succeed, and has to do with the leadership, because when children cannot come together under a single umbrella, it means the father and the mother of such a society have equally failed in their responsibilities in bringing the children under a single banner. Relating that to our nation, Cameroon, we have sung national unity, which came in the light since 1972, that the two Cameroons merged together to form the United Republic of Cameroon. And as the years started going by, it looks like more tension was created when these people came together than where they were apart. I have seen from 1961 to 1972, the kind of challenges we have in this country now is not the kind of challenge we had within that period. Cameroon history has been broken into different stratas from the 1884 to the 1914, from the 1914 right down to the 1950s, from the 1950s to the 1970s and the 70s to 80s. Now we are in 2022, and the situations are only getting worse by the day, and we have had a lot of challenges. And I think that in order to rule, in order to confiscate power, in order to consolidate power, the authorities that be have used a divide and rule system which maintains their stay in power, thereby jeopardizing the unity of the country. One factor has overruled the other factor. Because people want to stay in power, they have engaged in division, engaged in disintegration, so that we don't come under a singular banner to chase them that be in power. And that is a principle that operates almost everywhere. Those who want to hold power always destabilize those who assemble and kick them out of power. And so disintegration and disunity has been a very strong weapon to maintain the authorities in power. And I think that it's time for Cameroonians to wake up and understand that the more we are divided, the more we consolidate those who have stayed in power and have refused to relinquish power.
Okay. I want us to look at how government has engaged in implementing this move for national unity, Dr. John Ako. Certainly, we've seen so many calls made by both ministers, the president himself, and a host of others. Why is it not working?
Yeah, one of the things we need to know that 1972, I have never really considered it as a proper day for national unity. When you look at the coming together of this West and East Cameroon, you realize that probably the main event would have been on the 1st of October 1961. And that day was called the reunification and independence. When you talk of reunification, it means that the two were one before, and now they became together. This day, people look at it as an abolishment of a federal system of government. And when you look at it again, that's some few years after it was abolished. And we call Cameroon today the Republic of Cameroon. A lot went wrong at the time this particular concept was conceived. And many will think that is going to work. When a subject at the very beginning, when those who are in charge of implementing a particular policy have a problem with it, then it is already indicating that it was meant to fail. When you look at the system of education in Cameroon, we said we have what we call bilingual schools, bilingual grammar schools. When you get to Lycée Bilingue, a source in Yaoundé, the bilingualism nature is that the English section is down and the Francophone section is up. When you go to Lycée Bilingue in Limbe, you will find that the bilingual nature is that those who are doing French education, they are on the opposite end. The English system of education is down. The bilingual nature, which I may have thought that we were going to put it as an example, is what I've seen in some few schools around. In fact, in the universities. When you are in the university like the University of Chang, when you are in the university like the University of Yaoundé too, you realize that there is no need for different lecturers in different classrooms because of the language background. You will find these lectures coming in different language when you get to specialization classes at the level of the bachelor, which means that from the academic program, Cameroonians were not meant to attract national unity. When you look at it again, that is academically. When you get on the side of what we call positions in government, until after what we call the Anglophone crisis in 2016, certain positions in this country were reserved for others. And you can imagine that we need to see the civil director of the civil cabinet at the President of the Republic being named after a Bamileke man. We need to see that the Minister of Finance equally being named from the Anglophone region. We need to equally think that the highest office of this nation, the Constitution, should give that particular impetus that all Cameroonians can hold office, not where one individual or a single individual can change the course of event. When you look at the composition of our parliament, yes, you will think that there is something more efficient about it, because somewhere Kavaye Gejibril is from the north, you find the other Nyadji Fenyi is from the west, and then what of the other segments of the republic? What do they inherit? These are three organs of the state that equally control essential power. When some people are, in fact, stay onto power for eternal period, what becomes of those which and spur the spirit of going in the same position. We are talking somewhere again, when you look at the way the budgeting of this nation is done, the details that give the future of the nation, we feel that Cameroonians will work for a few regions. And that explains why those from the north, those from the west, those from the east and south are trying to move. If not at the littoral, they are moving to the central region. Because the budget allocated for the central region and the south region consumes the budget of more than 4 other regions in the country. And you ask, are we integrated? Are we united? We have waterfalls in some part of Cameroon, but when dams and bridges and roads are heavily constructed and weighed more on the other part of the territory, then it gives us a sense of concern. A lot needs to be done. When you get into the military, it is the same. Yes, people will tell you that yes, you will meet Ivo that way, you will meet this one this way, but look at the details of those who give the command in force. In national integration is not a song. National integration is not propaganda. National integration is felt. We need to feel it. We need to think Cameroon whenever, if really you are a Cameroonian. We are on the eve of a national day. We are on the eve of what we call the Unity Day. And we ask the question, are we united? Are we united? You look at the composition, the conflict, tribalism. When you look at the basis, when the Bamilekes are chased out in the south, when some people from particular regions are given names, Anglophiles, when some people are called dogs, and you call and ask if really we are united. There is a need for us to feel national unity. There is a need for us to walk towards the spirit of consolidating what the founding fathers of this nation did. We are on the eve of a national event. Have we seen a monument, 2 or 3, erected to honor those who fought the unity we are propagating now? And if you look at the selfless nature of the founding fathers, and you look at the intention of what is going on now, if President Ahmadu Ahidjo was hallowed with the spirit of tribalism, I don't think President Paul Biya would have been the right person to take over after him. If you look at the entourage that we had in the past, I believe a lot of students, parents, benefited from what we call scholarship to study abroad. They were from all walks of life. Today, we don't know whether government still offers scholarship for Cameroonians to study abroad, but we know these possibilities are still present. Can the head of state at this level redefine the way forward of the nation? If Cameroon is united in spirit. If Cameroon is united by the people. If there is division already, tribal division, opposition divided, that we cannot talk. That for a particular party to march, he is giving a particular order to march. He's giving the rules to follow. But when you look on the opposite side of those who call the ruling party, same rules do not apply. Is this the unity? We were there maybe before 1995, 96. We know what it is called National Day. We know all what we felt. 30 years after that declaration, 50 years after, where have we gone wrong? I mean, if a lot of these questions are addressed, then we should be very happy to see a new Cameroon. I could imagine that whenever the anthem was sung in my school, parents going to the farm stand on that same spot. They will stand still until the anthem is finished. Today, I'm telling you, the flag does not matter, because even in front of government offices, it's shocking that we allow the flag under the rain and sun to be beaten on daily basis and only replaces it when you realize that that particular flag is being torn into pieces. Is this national unity? What sense of belonging have we become? What do we instill? Go to chief palaces. That flag, the day was hosted, it has never come down. It is a protocol when the flag is coming down. Is this national unity? It is, I said, patriotism, belonging to a particular nation is something which is felt. It is not propaganda. It is not a political atmosphere. It is the will of the people.
It is the will of the people. We're talking about national unity, national integration. Practically speaking, what are those steps that you have observed government engage to foster national integration?
Well, Mr. Leo, I think if we cannot just condemn completely that the government has not done anything to advance foster national integration, but what they have done is too minimal to be identified or to be noticed. Yes, as a matter of fact, like I said earlier, they have helped to divide Cameroonians more than ever before. For instance, you have professional institutions in Cameroon like ENS, Higher Ecole Normale, we have EMIA, we have ENAM, we have ERIC. I can tell you that if you go to institutions like that, where we are supposed to meet as Cameroonians and get acquainted with each other, interact with each other, be associated with each other, be bonded with each other, but it looks like those institutions are controlled by certain ethnic groups in the country. How do you explain that the director of ENAM is from the south, and then we have about 30 names in ENAM, about 25 come from that south region? It tells you there are many regions of the country of no significance. How do we bond together? Well, we don't have a meeting point. We don't have a meeting point. You go to the national team. It is difficult to find people from other regions in that particular national team. A few ethnic groups occupy the national team, and football brings national unity. You go to other areas in sports like volleyball, basketball, there are particular names you must hear in that particular national team where we don't have where we can bond together as a people. From educational stratas in the domain of sports, we are not united. Coming back to the administrative structure, you enter into certain offices in Yaoundé, there are particular names you find there. Sometimes you even speak in English language, nobody understands you. People are speaking their dialect in a government institution as if they are in their village. Have they transferred villages to government offices in Yaoundé? You go to post and telecommunication, you go to culture, you go to this, you go to that. When a certain man was a minister of justice in this country, almost all greffiers and state councils and were from his region. And then you go, somebody became the director of ENS, is all his family members. Now somebody is at ENAM, and then it goes like that. It tells you that the separation and the tribal manifestation, the ethnicity that has been demonstrated has brought further disintegration and division amongst us. For instance, if somebody is appointed today as a director of ENAM, you find people from his community become part of that association, that institution, which is so bad to the extent that it looks like there are no intelligent people from other parts of the country. I said on this platform once that if at all we want to do national integration, we should give opportunity for every community to be able to give representatives. We should not have students, we should have representatives, because no community is completely foolish. You cannot tell me that the most intelligent people are from the south, that all of them pass ENAM. No, people should be sent as representatives. In ENAM this year, we are having 30 people in Cameroon. Then 3 should come from the ground that are coming to represent their own region of the country, that can stand and speak on the behalf of their people. 3 should come from southwest, 3 should come from the south. They come on that platform. You discover that cultures are merging together. Language is being interchanged, because Anglophones will speak English, the French will learn English, and the Francophone will learn French, English, and then the Anglophone will learn French also. You see, cultures are integrated, language is integrated. We are talking about commission of bilingualism and multiculturalism. People should not sit on a high table and want to change a country from bilingualism. People should meet at particular institutions to exchange ideas, exchange language. From my experience, I came to Douala, I couldn't speak French, but now I've interacted with people. In the course of interacting, I'm picking words here and there, and I can understand French very well. That is how we integrate people. You don't go to ENAM, there are 50 students there, 40 are Francophone or 49 are Francophone, then you expect English to penetrate ENAM. How? You go to the military, you go to the police, I was in the southwest when police were recruited at the police training center, the Central Application, the police in Tico. Before you have 10,000 police, about 9,000 are from you. As a matter of fact, even the few Anglophones that go there, French overshadows them, and they start speaking French in the institution. That makes you understand that we are not fostering integration, because we are doing tribalism, we are doing nepotism, and we are doing communal development. We are not doing national development. Those are the things that we must put into serious consideration. So if government actually intends to do national integration, they should give equal right and opportunity for people to take part in certain engagement. I was talking about the academic domain, the sports domain, even the administrative structure of the country. It's so bad. Another factor is that you don't expect somebody to want to make an ID card. He has to leave Bamenda to Yaoundé.
You want to do a passport, you go to Bamenda, you leave Bamenda and go to Yaoundé. And I'm asking if the fingerprints, the cartons can only be printed in Yaoundé or what? If we are doing actually integration, then we should give opportunity for every region to be able to produce passport. Therefore, making a Francophone man that is in an English zone, you don't need to travel to Yaoundé to do passport. It tells you that power is centered at a particular region and the others have no, because when we talk about integration, it means sharing power and opportunities equally to everybody in the country. But it's not like that. That's not the case. So I think we should get back on the drawing board and find out where we missed it.
Okay, we should get back to the drawing board and find out where we missed it. Concept of regional balance, he was talking about it. That concept was, the objective has been to make sure that almost everybody is represented. How well is that working for Cameroon?
Honestly, this particular policy came in when the state realized that it has failed to upgrade national integration.
Okay.
National integration should not be an issue of a political reward. National integration should go with what we call meritocracy. If the country and the nation is what we wish to be, there is no need, there is no conflict if the best should come from a particular region. The moment the people start feeling that one part is more represented than the other, then the concept of meritocracy has lost its pace. I mean, it has been watered down. The United States will not have a problem if the best engineers are coming from California. And reason being that California is the most industrialized state. In that particular domain, they are free to represent America in any foreign competition. We don't have a problem with that. There should not be a problem that in Barcelona or in Spain, that the national team of Spain is made up of players from Catalan and Madrid, the center city. If those are the best at the time, there is no problem with it. But we start having a problem when we start seeing mischievous transactions, like we have just said, that in the Northwest, we have ENS. That since the director of ENS is coming from Bambili, so that year, all the people of Bambili are now teachers. That in the other end, we find at the NAM, since the director of a NAM is coming from the south, for the 5 or 10 years he's going to be in a NAM, 59% of people from the south will be at the NAM. This explains that what brought us together is no longer what is keeping us together. And there is a problem. So we that advocate that the state of Cameroon should go on to what we call meritocracy. One of the aspects of meritocracy, which will tell you a lot of people are aware, today has been relegated to the backyard. And you have the Polytechnic Yaoundé, which is simply a senior high school. We continue with the same theory and practicals carried out in the lab. You are studying in the university. You leave a university, they call you engineer de conception. And who are those that will be engineer de pratique? So you study the theory, you conceive a plan, then we call another person to come and execute. 60 years after independence, we knew of teachers, technicians, engineers that left Ambe. You cannot measure them up with any university training in Cameroon today. But because this school was found in another region, a more better school was opened in Yaoundé. The second example was the National Police Academy that is located in Mutengene. It's a national school. Why then create a second national academy in Yaoundé? Where is the problem? It is just what we are saying here. If national unity is what keeps us together, an institution of whatsoever international magnitude can settle anywhere, and Cameroonians should be capable of having free access to it. It is not because we are not from whom that I should not attend the best school in whom if GHS whom is the best. The fact that I'm not coming from Furawa or Fumban does not stop me to attend the best institution in Fumban. If such an institution models all Cameroonians, we should not be avoided on the issue of regional balance. Regional balance, I insist, was a concept that was introduced to overshadow the failure of the present unitary state. If we need to make up Cameroon proud, then meritocracy must take over political governments. It is shocking that several times we keep on defending, we keep on feeling like abandoned because those who are leading, there is a problem with governance. Governance must be one that answers the wish of the people to keep us together. I cannot be living in Cameroon and I see a German flag and admiring a German flag more than a Cameroonian flag. Then something is not going right. We should stop fooling ourselves. We are celebrating national unity, national integration. Are Cameroonians integrated? Is English still considered a national language or a language reserved just for a particular group of persons? The National Bilingualism Commission, what has happened? We still see boards and English language. They will read the news. The decision of the President of the Republic will be read at 5 p.m. news before the 7 p.m. news in English. English news desk is not capable in CRTV to break up a news from the presidency. What is the concept with national integration? The languages must integrate, the people must integrate, the institutions must integrate, the policies of the state must learn to integrate. This is where we are, and I believe if we have to work on as Cameroonian, national unity, I used to imagine when we feast, eat, burning fish, roasted corn and plums together. Today is simply a political gesture where we sing the military march, and that is all. This is not integration. Integration is not by force. It is not by politics. I insist, it is the will and acceptance of all the forces that make up a nation.
Okay. Apostle Ambe, Valentine, Ngwa, I don't know how you see the issue of regional balance. I don't know. Are you very comfortable with what we observe? How aptly represented the respective regions in this country, in most of our state apparatus?
How do you explain that in Yaoundé you have National Advanced School of Administration and Magistracy, and in Bo you have NASLA, National Advanced School of Local Administrators? Is Boya Chad or is Boya Guinea or is Boya Burkina Faso that they will do a NAM in Yaoundé, which is a National Advanced School of Administration and Magistracy, and they go to Boya, they do National Advanced School of Local Administrators. That means Boya is good enough to produce local administrators. Boya is the headquarter of former West Cameroon. Boya is the headquarter of Southwest Province. Yaoundé is the headquarter of Center Province. What is the difference between Yaoundé and Boya? That Enam will be in Yaoundé, and then Nasla is in Boya.
Yeah,
Number two.
Yaoundé is the current capital of the nation.
Does that make Yaoundé better off than Boya? That's the question. Number two, what we have in Mutengene there is Centre d'application de police. In Yaoundé, we have Economa Superior. I'm talking the superior thing, let us hear. In Bambili, we have Economal. In Yaoundé, we have Economa Superior d'Enseignement. In Kribi, we have, how do they call this? Is it this School of Sports and Yes. In Yaoundé, we have INGS. I'm trying to make you understand how we are talking about regional balance. We're talking balance here. What we are experiencing is regional imbalance. Because the lower part of police that produces only inspectors comes from...
We are looking at the regions. We have 10 regions.
That's right. I'm going around.
You're comparing just...
I'm going around. I'm going around. I'm trying to point the points I have here. I've pointed NASLA. I've pointed police school. I've pointed Bambili.
Senages.
Senages is the south.
In Kribi, yeah.
In Kribi. It's in Kribi. If you go to other regions like the north, you have this. There is this institution there, which is the, how do I put it? The lower class of that institution is in the north, while the higher one is in Yaoundé. I've forgotten by the name. I'm just trying to do a survey on all the regions of the country. You will discover that if we're talking about regional balance, why should the lower sectors of certain institutions be open in particular regions while the higher ones are open in other particular regions? Is that not regional balance? There's an imbalance. It means if you have to be a commissioner in this country, your future is in Yaoundé. If you want to be a constable and an inspector, your future is in Mutengene. If you want to be a local administrator, your future is in Boya. If you want to be a higher administrator, your future is in Yaoundé. If you want to be a local sports director, your future is in Kribi. You want to be a higher sports director, we're talking about regional balance. If there is regional balance, why should it be that we have people from northwest, southwest, north, east cannot produce identity cards? Is that regional balance? Are the police people in the east
the north, the far north, not competent enough to sign and stamp an ID card? Are the divisional officers that controls those regions in the police, are their stamps not competent enough to sign a passport or an ID card? Why should everybody fly from all the nooks and crannies of this country to descend to Yaoundé? Are the Yaoundé officers of police that sign those passport and ID cards more intelligent than the ones in Faro Edio, Mayo Danai, Mayo Kani, Mayo Sava, or Lom Njerim? Are they more intelligent than them? We are talking about regional balance in the country. That is, it has to have mentioned administration. When it comes to infrastructure, I mean, if you check the infrastructure of most of the other parts of the country, from electricity, you cannot get dams in other places of the other parts of the country except somewhere around this area of the country. We are talking about seaports, regional balance, and based on physical features. Because we talk about general balance, we should be doing it on physical features. Limbe has natural deep waters, yet we are digging a seaport in Kribi. Is that regional balance? When we are supposed to use the physical features of certain communities, we are doing catchment of water around to build a dam around.
You mean Naktigal?
No, the dam that was Menvele, Lompanga, where we have a place in Nenchum where we can have natural water to construct a dam there. I'm talking about if we are respecting regional balance, we should give certain regions opportunity with the physical features that God has blessed them. Yes, Nenchum doesn't need any digging of anything to have standby dam there for electricity. That's a natural physical feature that God has given. Limbe does not need any digging of the seaport to do. That's a natural feature. It goes. Élie has been given the privilege also to do electricity because why? They have natural water that generates ocean currents. So if at all we are doing regional balance, why don't we say God has blessed the north with the opportunity of a land that can produce more garlic? Let Cameroon focus in investing to produce garlic in the north. God has blessed northwest with the opportunity of having Menchum 4. Let's generate electricity from Menchum 4. God has blessed southwest Limbe with a port that doesn't need any digging. Let's construct a seaport in Limbe. God has blessed Yaoundé with hills. Let's put the capital there because there is no way you can enter Yaoundé without being arrested. God has blessed Douala with a natural seaport. Let us do this for Douala. Going to the south, God has blessed Kribi with touristic sites. Let's invest more in Kribi for touristic. Why don't we invest in regions based on the natural physical features that God has blessed those regions, if at all we are talking about regional balance? If you go to Nigeria, much of food comes from Benue State, and you see they are focusing on investing. Where you have natural features of tourism, Nigeria is entering into tourism right now. Investing in tourism because why? Certain physical features in particular communities give them the quality to set up touristic centers in those areas. If we are doing regional balance, why don't we go around this nation looking at every region, finding out the physical features that God has given to them that can help generate wealth into the community? Why do we force certain things in regions that do not even have the capacity to produce? With all the Menvele and the Lompanga dams constructed down there, electricity is still a big time failure. Where we have somewhere we can be able to pump in enough resources to give that privileged region the opportunity to give us satisfied electricity. I think if we are doing regional balance, we should make sure we exploit the opportunities that God has given to particular regions. Now in the southwest has very good climatic conditions and good soil. Let us invest in agriculture nationwide when it comes to southwest. That is an area where we can do a lot of plantations, and because it's the natural environment endowed on that particular region gives them the privilege to be the highest area where we have to do cultivation. Why don't we exploit every region's national ability and physical features that God has blessed them if we are doing regional balance? I am very uncomfortable with the way we manage regional balance in the country. From the physical features that God has blessed certain regions and the opportunities given to them, I mean, it's practically nothing to write home about.
Okay, it's nothing to write home about. We are talking about an era where we talk of regional councils existing at Dr. Ako. We also have municipal structures that are existing, but how do we fit and implement regional national unity and integration in the decentralized system of government?
I believe, like I said, the concept decentralization in Cameroon does not really hold.
Okay.
The decentralization policy that was introduced in the Constitution in 1996 is close to 30 years gone. The government itself, if not of the crisis in the Northwest and the Southwest, the government wouldn't have come out to define a new way forward for decentralization, which means that those who took over the federal system in 1972 did not even know what decentralization is. And this, now, where we are, imagine it is about 3 years today. We came out from the measure of national dialogue. We are expecting that the central government should relinquish some autonomy. What do you see here? You imagine that a government with a lot of inertia, unwillingness, a lot of apathy, not capable of giving up. Some people still feel that if we implement decentralization to the fullest, the ministries in Yaoundé will simply become private secretaries to the President of the Republic. They are feeling that if decentralization is implemented in a whole, what they enjoy, the protocol they are having around them, the size of the ministries will be kept down. In a more federal system that we have seen in the past was that all those who call ministries now will simply representatives in the various regions, and that a percentage of what each region produces will be taken to the central government. And so how much will they enjoy? We are now talking of the port in Douala, the port in Kribi, the port which is to be in Limbe, that the resources all goes to one institution they call the National Port Authority. And so the region is left vacant. Are we still going to enjoy the position of the person who called the Minister of Higher Education, who controls everybody, and then maybe his delegates are answerable to him? Can the councils now equally have their own sources of finance defined by the council? Imagine what we had with the regional council or the regional assembly in Bamenda. That is exactly what happened throughout the territory. That a budget was prepared in Yaoundé to be voted by an assembly in Bamenda. Meaning the government in Yaoundé knows the worries of the assembly in Bamenda than the assembly in Bamenda to instead inform Yaoundé that these are the needs of the Northwest region. Some people said they could not vote such a bill because it won't produce any effect. And we need to know that in a decentralized system, we need decisions from the base. Nobody gets to Yaoundé to create a school in his village. Nobody will get to Yaoundé to maybe dig out a borehole. Nobody will be in the corridors of Yaoundé for retirement benefits. We have seen a lot of system collapse. People have died on their way to collect pension. And you ask, how much is it for somebody to leave Benakuma for Yaoundé? For somebody to leave Lome Jaren or Yokaduma for Yaoundé? For somebody to leave Bokito to come to Yaoundé, maybe to receive 72,000, and ends up receiving drugs in Yaoundé in a local hospital because of stress, and the same 72,000 will not represent anything. We are talking of proximity. Are Cameroonians capable of doing so? We are not. We are not ready. We should not take a song that we cannot dance. I am told that in my dialect, everybody's song should go with his footsteps. Decentralization failed us. That is why some of us said it is time for us to try federalism that would have given assets. The governors are waiting. In a decentralized system, we are waiting when the governors will leave the region. They said those of us who had a special status, we are going to elect our governors. The SDOs, what is the use of a DO in a town where the mayor has been voted? Look at the protocol, the order of arrival. You see that the mayor has been sidelined, far behind. But there is a need, Mr. Leon, there is a need institutionally, even by human resources. If we want to do something, let's do it.
Yeah, but my worry is these structures that the state has put in place, decentralization, we have regional assemblies, regional councils, and then we have the municipalities that are operating, they're receiving the ministry in charge of decentralization.
Decentralization, yes.
But my question here is, how is this promoting national unity and integration?
But this is what we are saying. The state itself is not ready. A lot of those things are created to fulfill the wishes of the people. That now that we have a ministry in charge of decentralization, fine. What are we going to have in decentralization? Create the regional assembly. Give the councils their autonomy. Are they enjoying that autonomy? You can imagine elections in Limbe to represent the mayor. I was not there, but a lot of reports that a mayor voted is already dictated from Yaoundé. Meaning it is the wishes, the whole executive of the Central Committee of the CPDM moved to Limbe to see that their candidate should win at these municipal elections. Elections should be capable of representing what we say. Decentralization is taking power to the people. Allow the people to give the power to the person they wish.
Okay. Apostle Ambe, Valentine, I want to get your reaction to this phenomenon that is observed in most of our regions and divisions, subdivisions. That's this to see if you were to get to Fundi division, most of the schools there are headed by people from Yaoundé. You come to Vuri here in Douala, almost they are the same. If you were to go to in Kutaba or in Fumban, you discover that most of those that are working there are from Kutaba. How does that fit into government's policy of national unity and integration?
That's what we have been saying, that they have helped to fund aglo, division, tribalism, nepotism. Because if you send people who are from Kutaba to head schools in Kutaba, is that not tribalism? That's tribalism. My worry is, who is the minister in charge of that particular ministry that promotes individuals that come from particular communities to go back to their communities and head the responsibilities? That is the problem.
There's not only, yeah, it cuts across, because if you were to go to different ministries,
that's what I'm letting.
Persons from the regional, divisional, subdivisional delegations is the same.
That's what I'm letting you understand. That water flows from the top to the bottom. If I thought there are principals of a particular community heading schools in that community, then those principals must have come from the minister that heads that ministry. And from what I gathered and experience I've seen in Cameroon, most of the people who are ministers appoint people from their own communities to head particular institutions in particular communities. Now, if you send somebody, for instance, that comes from Boya, to go and head a school around Yaoundé, that's what we call national integration and unity. But that is not the case. We instead send people back to their community, thereby building tribal sentiment and division. There is an SDO in the south called Absalom Monono, who was the secretary to the governor of Ibamenda, who is the SDO in one of the divisions there in the south. That is a good example of national integration and unity, where somebody from Boya is the SDO of the south region. He speaks a different language. He has a different culture. He meets a people with a different language, with another culture, and then the intermediate, and produce what we call national integration and unity. Those are very minute cases in millions. That is the problem we have here. We cannot just roll out the fact that there have not been some level of national integration. The percentage we are talking here is about 10 on 100. And the insignificance of that 10% is what is causing this tension we have in this country. They should go back to a place whereby individuals from certain communities should go to other communities so that they transfer their way of dressing, the language they speak, their attitudes, and their culture to that community. Because we are talking about unity in diversity. Just like the body has different parts, yet it is one body. Every part has its function. So the issue is, if we have to promote national integration and unity, it has to start by the way we integrate people in institutions that are handled in this country. How wouldn't it surprise you that if you go to the administration, if we have 60 ministers in the country, you may find 5, 6, or 7 from the English-speaking region. The rest 50 plus is from the French region.
How do you explain that? They will tell me because that it is 20 is to 80. If it is 20 is to 80, 20% of 60 is how many? It should be at least 12. Because 10% is 6. 20% it should be. But you see that 20% is not even amongst the 60 ministers. Let's consider we have 60 ministers in Cameroon and there are 12 Anglophone ministers. It tells you that they have respected even the 20% where they say when they are saying that is 20 is to 80. But you go and check the 60% of ministers in the country, 60% of ministers in the country, not up to 10% is coming from the English extract. Is that integration? They are employing or integrating or bringing in 60 people in Enam. The 60%, the 60 people in Enam, 20% of those 60% should be at least 12. In the 60 entry Enam, about 55 are Francophone, not even 10% of the 20% Anglophone that are in the country. That tells you a serious problem. Now, you go within the circle of even the Francophone sector, you will find the Nordics complaining that this time in the military, this number was taken. There are certain offices in this country that people from the other extract have never been able or given the privilege. There are 5 ministers d'etat in this country. Minister d'etat first before their ministerial offices. I don't know of any Anglophone who is a ministre de l'etat before being his minister. Is that integration? Ministre de l'etat, minister in charge of. Ministre de l'etat. It means they are permanent and everlasting ministers. They are going nowhere. Who of this other extract has been given such an opportunity to be ministre de l'etat before being a minister? That's why you go to the west, there is a complaint. You go to the north, there is a complaint. You come to the Anglophones, there is a complaint. We are talking, this is not an Anglophone issue. It's a national issue. Because almost everybody is grumbling at their own angle. And this thing is like when we want to picture it as if it's just a particular region of the country, it will make as if we are trying to pour flame to already ignited fire. But the people in the north also complain. Those in Littoral also complain. Those in the east also complain. Even people from the south, in particular communities, also complain.
Okay, Dr. Ako, I want all of us, Apostle, you also going to talk on this. I want us to look at national unity and integration in the appointed officials. Do they, the appointed and elected officials, do they make their communities feel integrated in the national management system of the country? For example, once the government considers that we have appointed a minister in Mezam, okay, he represents the people of Mezam, and then maybe MPs and a host of others. Do the people actually feel represented at the national level through their local elected and appointed officials?
This spirit of representing and making the people to know you are there, if really we consider it, it will not be within the principles of what some of us are thinking.
Okay.
We have said national integration should go with meritocracy. If national representation is going with meritocracy, if you appointed a minister, one of the things when national concern is involved is that you appointed a minister for all Cameroonians. You are not appointed a minister for your people, which means the minister in charge of electricity and energy will give you light. Don't ask your minister because he's a prime minister that he must give you road. The national policy for road says that the people from Dian will have a road in 2025. We cannot deviate a road made from the south, but because he's a minister there, to send to the region where he's coming from. The government has a national policy. And so if the national policy of the state is being implemented to the fullest, to which we all have concern, such worries should not be tabled or these or dealt in the light of appointed officials. To the basic level, I am thinking that it is because we failed to hold to the rules of national integration, the concept of elitism, where those who are appointed as elite should answer to the worries of the people. I would not like to mention name. We had 2 or 3 ministers from Manu that the moment they came, It is when all the people of Manu counted on them that the road must come, because we have a son who is now the Minister of Public Works. That Manu must have now a Prime Minister, or the road is going to come owing to the fact that the Minister in charge of Education is coming from Manu. That is a bad policy. We cannot hold on to that. And this is what has destroyed the nation, because those who come in front of this same minister will be telling him that if you waste time, this is our own time to eat. Meaning government has a cake that it reserved to certain tribes because their sons and daughters hold that position for that time. What becomes of tribes that are not even seen, that are not even represented in the government? Meaning they won't never feel the impact of this state. Because not every tribe will have a minister. Not every tribe will have a director. Not every tribe will be capable of having a governor. So what becomes of such tribes? That is why I said the present system has lost the directives of national integration. We should not appoint. If Akko is appointed the Minister for Education, we should look at it and see that he delivers for the national territory. Before coming a minister, remember, there is a state policy for education. It is on that which I'm working. I am not doing so or sending a university made for the South to Manu, because that is my region. The national policy shows that there is maybe certain needs, population-wise, those who are demanding moving long distances, there is a need for a higher institution here. And that's why we are putting it there at that time. This will keep all Cameroonians alert that we have not constructed the stadium in Limbe because the Prime Minister is coming from Limbe. By Joe's strategy, is Limbe worth enough to host a football pitch in the Southwest region? These are things we ask. And if it is honest, we will know that projects are given based on government directing minds, those who direct the mind of the state. This is why we have failed. Some people don't even know that the government as a government, the country as a country, has its own moral mind. People don't know. And this is what is killing us. You can imagine what happened. Those from Akonolinga said a part of the University of Boya should be located in Akonolinga. We spoke about it here. It means that the position Boya was poorly chosen. And now if such decisions are taken, and if we don't take it seriously, one day that university will leave Boya because some group of people says Boya is not good for the university. It should instead be in Akonolinga. What does state policy demands? That all the 10 regions should be capable of having their own universities. And that's what the government has done. And you'll find somewhere, even though we might not be comfortable with it, that will tell you that the institutions of the state will be gradually implemented without a time frame. No Cameroonian knows the way forward of the government. We have no economic plan, no investment plan. 2, 3 years, 5 years plan, we don't know. Which means that the other part of good governance we talk of transparency, accountability, and information sharing. Citizens are not aware.
Yeah, but you can't say there's no economic plan. The sure is an economic policy in this country. Education policy, cultural policy, all of these are...
Mr. Leo, I'm telling you that it's like we are always taken by surprise.
Before running for elections, I'm sure there is people are elected on the basis of a political manifesto that actually...
those are for political parties. I want to ask you, we are here, between me and you. If sincerely we just elected the head of state in 2018, what is the way forward? What are the policies of the state for the next 7 years?
Yeah, maybe we need
no, we don't need... I said if I can evaluate Donald Trump, that I will build a wall, and that the Obamacare is a bad plan, I will bring it down. This is a foreign leader. Communication is not done on state policies. Cameroonians need to be communicated fully. How do I know that between Marie Le Pen and Emmanuel Macron on foreign policy they differ? One is working with that Russia is not evil and the other said Russia is evil. It is communication. Government need to communicate to its citizens that there is a need for a dam. At times in UK, you don't even know. People go by sampling opinion. They put an opinion for a project for public opinion to vote. They pass it on green papers. What people don't know, before a project is carried out in any part in an advanced democracy, there is an opinion. Where do we think this project can really hold now? Yeah, we have 3, 4, 5 sites. People should give opinion 2 months. There is a place you drop your response and the government take it. So after that, views and opinion of people are published to see where the opinion is. We move from green paper, yellow paper before bringing out the white paper. The white paper is the final policy that this Particularly, this port will be located in Ambe.
Okay.
So these are some of the things. There is a need for communication. There's a need for government plan, and we are the ones that direct the mind of the state.
Okay.
We don't work on individual minds. Tribalism should not have its place. Whether you have an elite appointed, pray that he lives long in that position and does what the people of Cameroon want, not what your division or your tribe wants.
Greetings, Mr. Liu, and to you all in the studio. The truth is there is no regional balance because all what is happening is for self-interest and not for the interest of the country as a whole. I pray the voices of all the guests in the studio be heard. I think officials concerned should move around these areas and see how we are suffering with roads, and talking about the transport fare, particularly in the north and southwest regions, is really a nightmare. Please, the government should look into the situation because people in those areas are really suffering. Please, we should promote equality and not a marginalization in Cameroon. Thanks. Thank you too. This other one reads, greetings, Mr. Liu, to you and all in the studio. I want to say here the apostles Ambe will be a great help to this government because he has a mastery of how the government of Cameroon operates, not leaving out Doctor. Doctor just talked about higher education, and he reminds me of a topic I would have loved you people debate on the TV. This topic is why is higher education lecturers selection not being promotions from secondary school teachers who have acquired PhD? For what I know, they have experienced more than those who just studied right up to PhD before becoming lecturers. Gaius is writing from Douala. Good evening to you, Gaius. This one reads, this Kumba Sonel don't want us to follow Prime Art today. Please, Mr. Liu, tell them to bring the light back. Please, Sonel in Kumba, have mercy on the population, please. This one says, Emil Ninjotin says it went off here in Bamenda, but it's back now, okay? Ngupol Ngong from Kumbase, amen, it just came back also, okay? That's great. This one says, a neo may not make heaven, wow, okay? Ewe Emmanuel from Tole says, good evening to all the wonderful and vibrant panelists. What national unity are we talking about when a major opposition party will be given tough conditions before they partake in the march pass? Have that condition be given to the ruling party? Greetings to all the fan club members of Tole. Good evening to you. My regards to Dr. Ako and Apostle Ambe. Your ideas are very brilliant. Apostle Ambe, I want us to look at these local elected officials and appointed officials also. Whether we like it or not, some persons are appointed in Yaoundé because it is expected that they can relay and aptly represent their respective regions. Even MPs, they say MPs once voted, you are an MP for the nation. But how do these persons carry the aspirations of their people to the national level?
Yes. You see, the challenge sometimes we have about our locally elected officials, talking from municipal councillors, regional councillors, MPs, mayors, and the rest, is that some of these people do not even have the right that an MP is supposed to exhibit as an MP. You cannot represent a people, and you cannot carry the aspirations of people when you are more of a servant than a master. I think one of the most independent offices in this country is the legislative office, because they are not appointed, they are elected by the people. The MP is the only person that can speak boldly in the country and walk away scot-free, because he is not an administrator appointed by the state. He didn't go through any professional training to be employed in the government. He doesn't have a matricle number that he can be stripped of. An MP is somebody that is chosen by the people. Is the people's choice. Those are the people who have the right to express their minds as freely as they can. But it is rather unfortunate within the Cameroonian context, MPs do not have such liberty and they don't have such opportunity. We've seen MPs fight in the Ghanaian parliament. We've seen MPs fight in the Ugandan parliament. We've seen MPs fight in the Nigerian parliament. But it's difficult to see MPs fight in the Cameroonian parliament because
they are civil.
Not that they are civil. You won't put words in my mouth. It's not because they are civil. Those who are fighting in Uganda and Kenya and other countries, are they uncivil? They are now because their opinions are allowed. People are allowed to express themselves to the extent where they can even point you to drive their points through. Here, you don't have a point to drive. You are just there to fill in the blank spaces. Let them know that we have also a parliamentary section of the country that deliberates out issues and come out with solutions. But that is not the case. So the people whom you think are being represented by these MPs are very, very, very far from the MPs. We have seen it in many occasions. The MPs, first and foremost, are MPs for the nation before MPs of their communities. But unfortunately, it is spared out from other governments we have read across the globe. MPs are the ones that bring the attention of the government into their communities. But that is not the case with us. Most of our MPs go to the glass house to collect what will feed them and their families. As a matter of fact, the grants given to MPs, 8.5 million in Cameroon, is too small to carry any substantial project. Because we hear that they're giving them parliamentary grants, you think it's some amount of money. It's too small. What can an MP do with 8.5 million? Can he build classes? Can he tie a road? But the MP has that power to call the attention of the state to the detriments and the disadvantages of his community. But you see, because the MPs themselves do not have that right, they don't have such opportunity. They don't even have that boldness and the testicles to stand and speak. They are just there because they have been, how do I put it? They have been teleguided by the authorities that kept them in those offices. It is difficult for them to even voice out what they have in their hearts. I would tell you, I've met a lot of good-willing Cameroonians who are working in the state, who are working in the legislative. They will tell you their worries, but you see, they cannot speak those worries out because you cannot risk your source of livelihood. You may speak what is the truth, you may speak what is right, and lose what feeds you. So I'd rather stay mute or don't say anything, or I'd rather defend the wrong because I want to keep on feeding from where I'm being tied as a goat. It's often said in pidgin that goat the chop and replace with the tie. So what do you expect the MPs to do? They cannot actually represent the people.
Why you said they cannot? What about the ministers?
Oh, the ministers. You talk about local authorities. You didn't
yes, I said local, elected and appointed.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Coming to the place of the ministers, Mr. Leo. Somebody asked me 2 days ago and said, "Why is it that ministers don't develop their communities?" The ministers don't have a right as we think. They don't have such autonomy as we think. Because if not, why would somebody come from the southwest, like a prime minister, knowing fully well that the road to his own community is not good? Till date, he has not developed the energy to tar that road to that community. How do you explain that prime minister have come to the northwest and the ring road that has been spoken of since 1980s? None of those prime ministers had the power to push that particular agenda to manifestation. How do you explain that the Bakwerian who are prime ministers were not able to drag the Limbe seaport into function? It's to let you understand that they may have, because no minister goes to power without thinking of developing the community. If that seaport is established in Limbe, more Bakwerians will be employed than any other tribe in this country. Do you think that those prime ministers really hate their communities to the extent where they cannot drag the seaport to Limbe? They don't have the power. Do you think the prime minister who is presently in office right now doesn't have the desire to have a name as a legacy, that he was the one that tarred the road to Mbongongo village? He has that desire, but doesn't have that power. You see, desire is not power. Are you telling me that the Philemonyangs who were prime ministers of this country did not have the urge to tar the road and develop places like Oku? They had. Those people are not demonic as we think. But the issue is that publicly presented, they are shown to be in offices, but privately, they don't have the power to wheel activities in those offices. This man in the West region,
public works minister. He has that intention to tar every street in Bafoussam by his privileged position. Even Celestine Kecha have that intention to turn Bangati into a city. But you see, those are offices they occupy externally, but internally don't have such power and will to drive activities. If today you are appointed in this country as a Minister of Territorial Administration, Mr. Liu, you will have the desire to tar Bamenda Womb Road. You would like to bring light in everywhere in Womb so that tomorrow your name, even your statue should be erected in Womb as a legacy that we once had a minister. And you see, when you enter into that office, you will never know the content of a book by reading the cover. What we see most at times on this minister is a cover of the book. Go to the content, the story in the content of the book, sometimes different. I read a book in my A levels, Ayukwe Amma, The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born. The cover of the book does not resemble the story inside. The cover depicts an adventure of love. The beautiful ones are not yet born. But unfortunately, the story is talking about the moral decadence and corruption in the nation of Ghana. So most of the time, the cover of a book does not depict the content of the book. Our ministers have good book covers, but the content has a different story to tell.
Okay. Yes. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and panelists on board from the MP concept. These MPs have the power and the voice to say something, but it's rather unfortunate that they are scared and do not want to stand against their bosses. Where did Dr. Wiba and Barrister Kemende get their voice to talk? These MPs and ministers are being egoistic and satisfying their interests. They have all the powers. Honorable Ngule is writing from Moliko. That should be in Boya. Mr. Leo, greetings from this end. Just to congratulate you, Mr. Apostle Ambe and Doctor. In short, I'm enjoying the program. Those guys are just too full with all-round wisdom. Let God use them to free this country. Thanks from Yaoundé, Mr. Dula, writing there. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I love your program. It's Eric from Bamenda. I wish those head of government should listen. Even 1% of common person's advice. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Kum. Your panelists are really putting the nail on the camel's back, but my worry is that they are just throwing water on the deck's back. Apostle, sweet bitter truth there about the ministers. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I wish to find out if a question on national unity and integration is asked in a concours like ENAM and a candidate writes what your panelists are advancing. Can the candidate succeed in the exams? We are not examiners, so we will not know. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Where is the kangaroo man, Lo? Thanks for hooking me up with Apostle Ambe. He was a great help indeed. Andre Pius writing from Limbe. The kangaroo man was here yesterday. Good evening to you guys in the studio for the fantastic job you are doing to repair this battered, beloved country of ours. Immense thanks to Dr. Ako and Apostle Ambe. They're indeed great minds. 40 is writing from Bomenda. Good evening to you, 40. Good evening to you all at the studio. Bonne fête de l'unité nationale à tous les Camerounais par avance. History has not forgotten the reasons for the creation of the unitary state. The birth of one Cameroon was celebrated by all from 1972, but the upbringing destroyed the success and bright future it had for Cameroon. The balance sheet is not balanced with clear evidence from infrastructural development to political appointments, but yet I call on all Cameroonians to remain united in diversity and promote social peace for a prosperous Cameroon, and that the problems of Cameroon can only be handled in Cameroon and by Cameroonian people themselves. Okay. Marcel is writing from the United Arab Emirates. Good evening to you, Marcel. We move on to our second topic tonight, which is still in the spirit of the National Days celebration. We are looking at the concept of unity in diversity. Is it time to build a true Cameroonian identity? So much talk about unity in diversity. Some persons just have listened about it. What do you make of this concept?
Yeah, I believe unity in diversity simply represents the geographical, the cultural, the tribal, the whole history about Cameroon. To some nations, I'm telling you that when you go to places like Nigeria, they will not be so proud with us as we are, considering the composition of what makes up that particular nation. If you get to some places like Burkina Faso, likewise Chad, the number of tribes are limited, not to compare to 250 different ethnic groups. And that the force of the two languages. No other country may be too proud in Africa to have such international opening like the people of Cameroon. Diversity, but then we are supposed to be united, and that the bigger force behind us is that we represent the whole of Africa in a microcosm, and it was supposed to be advantage in every domain in Cameroon: education, politics, socio-cultural aspect, economics, because coming together, starting economically, that you have a French making and an English making, and when you use this force, you will understand that the British have always been the best economists in the world. Why not forgetting of that one of the best philosophers we have had are coming from France, which means there is a need for us to coordinate efforts, to come together, to see how we can build a stronger nation within a diverse background. The tribal origin of Cameroon, the number of dishes, I'm telling you, you will not equally find that within any country. Yes, we are in Douala. It is easy for me to meet what they call Bongo Chobi, and it is easy for you to be in Douala and see a lot of people getting the name, funny as it is, Kati Kati. It is funny, but then this is the might of this nation. What we call Watafufu can no longer be mentioned because the standard and the internationalization is a Cameroonian dish. I watched a video on a European that visited Cameroon and made a short video how his stay in Cameroon was brief and how he wished he would have been a Cameroonian. He said a country locked up with a lot of natural endowment, from the cultural background of the people to the geographical makeup, north to south, east to west, heat very high, temperatures very high somewhere, cold, very fresh and humid in other environment. A country that is immersed with what I call the greenery, the savanna, the equatorial forest. This is not found in a major developed nations. Get to Saudi Arabia, you look at the example, those who are in Dubai, those who are somewhere in Algeria and Tunisia will imagine that Cameroon is a blessed and a blessed one. Culturally, the cultural diversity, I don't know what really the Ministry of Culture in Cameroon is doing, or the Ministry of Tourism. This is a country people need to discover. I said nobody knows. But then the future of the nation lies in the hands of Cameroonians. How much do we get from tourism? When I see a country like Kenya, Kenya has 65% of its national revenue from tourism. And I ask, what is Kenya having? The highlands of the Kilimanjaro to the wildlife. Cameroon is above this. The 250 different cultures in Cameroon in a cultural jamboree will fetch us more than what? Billions of dollars a year. Cameroon is supposed to have to solve the debt burden of this nation. We don't even know how tourism can be done to market the inheritance that we had from our forefather. Cameroon is blessed. Education, we can study from UK universities, American universities, take the brain in French universities, and why not? Whether you are in Alberta or you are in Montreal, somewhere in Canada, Cameroonians have opening around the world. Somewhere I told my students, better English, more opportunities. You will not find that anywhere. Those who feel, the Francophones who feel they cannot study English language because in Cameroon it's a French majority, then you are limiting yourself. The language you are learning is not for somebody else. It's to better create opportunities for yourself. The government need to take over, that the diversity we have should be felt, and not when some people appropriate a particular language to create an insult or insult the other from being a minority. Somewhere others are majorities, but then we need the values of the cultures of the nation. Can we be happy? Yes, we are supposed to be happy. I believe before 1990, Before 1982, I can imagine how Cameroon used to sing and glamour on this same day we call the National Day. In Southern Cameroon, it was called the Empire Day. People should think about that. Do we still have these same feelings? 70 years, 60 years after independence, where have we gone wrong? Can we really write back this unity in diversity? Can I sit in Yaoundé and see the people of Oku perform their traditional makeups all across the town of Yaoundé without being asked, who are they? Why are they here? Il faut rentrer chez vous. Those type of languages that divide us in the name of hate speech, we are still to see to what extent the government of Cameroon will start chasing those who believe that some people are more better Cameroonians than others. There is a need that we have the Bamilikes, we have the Wondos, we have the Betis, we have those from the Fufude in the north, we have the Bayangi, and everybody intact. There's a need to keep the nation together rather than divide on them. Let's concentrate on what unites us than what separates us.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to you all in the studio. I love the program. It's Elvis Brown writing from Shell New Bell. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm enjoying the program. Please, I have gotten much of the stories. Please, what should we do now? Tafa is writing from Buddha. We should start acting the talk. And now, yes, you can come to the studio, Tafa, next week, so that we should give people what they have to start doing. Apostle Ambe, Valentine, Ngwa, we're talking about our unity in diversity. You also attempt an explanation of what that concept is? And when you look at Cameroonians, we are divided across many lines, so many tribes, 10 regions, 52 divisions, and a host of others. Are Cameroonians more prone to standing for their respective tribes and regions than the nation, or the other way around?
Yes, they are prone to standing to their respective tribes than the nation.
Okay.
And it is a very bad policy that has been established, and it runs into the bone of every Cameroonian bloodstream. I think we have a lot of damage to control. A lot. We have to start doing damage control in this country based on the greed of a few individuals who wanted to sit in power. They had to set up a spirit of division. Nobody has divided Cameroonians more than Cameroonians themselves and the authorities that be. That is the truth. And if we don't accept these realities, we're going to have serious problems. Nobody. There is no stranger from outside that has divided Cameroonians. Cameroonians have instilled divisions among themselves, and we have to go back to the drawing board and do a lot of damage control. Cultural unity in diversity simply means we are united, we have differences. Differences in culture, differences in dialects, differences in language, differences in regalia, differences in traditional meals. These differences should instead make us more united. It should instead bring us closer, because I should be yearning to discover what you have, and you should be yearning to discover what I have. I should be rushing to eat mbongo chabi, which is not my traditional meal. You should be running to eat achu, which is my traditional meal. That exchange of traditional diet brings us together. I should be rushing to understand your language, and you should be rushing to understand my language. The exchange of the language brings us together. One of the things I want to lay emphasis on today is that this unity in diversity simply means everybody has his strength. And if at all we want to build a strong nation, then we must build the strength of every individual. You go to the far north, that's where we have the park, or we have games. That's their uniqueness. Why don't we concentrate as Cameroonians to give a flair, a kind of beauty?
Let the people of the far north think that the entire nation
depends on them when it comes to game. When we are building a park, a touristic center where people can come and see different varieties of animals.
That somebody from the South region sees what is in the north as his, and not necessarily vote
from the north. So if I have an animal in this my area, I should catch it and take it to the north, because the north is unique in that area. And now if we are going to open a forestry company, let's go to the east. That's where the forest is. All Cameroonians should be proud that we have a wood processing factory in the east. If we want to have plantations in Cameroon, the whole of Cameroon should focus towards southwest and say, okay, oh, this is where we are proud of having our plantations in Cameroon. If we open a cobalt factory, we are going to the northwest around where we have the material that produces cobalt. We are proud. So if you come from Cameroon, say, what do you guys have? Oh, in the north we have games. In the east, we have the great processing factory of wood. In the southwest, we have the great plantation. And then in the northwest, we have the great men to further generate electricity. I'm talking as a Cameroonian, not an indigene of a community. This diversity should be in us to build the strength of each other. Let's say, which other region again? We'll go to the south region, where you have the ocean division, the Caribbean. You have the sea there, you have all the... Also, they were just proud about our touristic side. Oh, you're going to Cameroon? Let me direct you where you are going for tourism. I shouldn't tell you that those people are coming from the Francophone region of Cameroon are demons. No. If you want to enjoy tourism in Cameroon, you have the Chute de l'Aubert. In Kribi, you eat prawns, you have the sea, you have the sandy beach in Kribi, you have hotels around the beach, you see whites there. I am directing you to the strength of that particular sector in my country. And if all of us are seated here, I know Leo is an expert in journalism. If there is a need of a journalism in this journalism association, I should withdraw and talk well about Leo, who is competent in that area. Leo's victory is our victory. When the 12 or 11 players lifted the African Nation Cup, it wasn't the national team's cup. It was Cameroon's cup. Today we talk about the Gudukatu Ranch in Nigeria. It's around Ogoja here. The Gudukatu Ranch is talking about Nigeria, talking about a particular community. That's the pride. You understand? You go to which other community again? Which other region again in the country? Okay. The West region. The West region. The West region. You go to the West region. Which is geographical. They have their uniqueness, their savannah.
When you talk of cattle rearing, you talk of the Adamawa and the Northwest.
The North. So you tell someone, oh, you want to eat real beef? Oh, go to my country, Cameroon. You go to Adamawa region. You go to this area. You can choose to say, okay, if you want to get the best honey, go to Oku, or you go to Tibati. Let us emphasize in building the strength of each of these particular regions rather than taking my own strength to fight against your strength. That is the problem. You see this problem we have, the problem with the North and the Southwest divide, because the Southwest has not acknowledged that the Northwest has equally things that they need. There's this assumption that Northwest is come no go that came from Southwest to work in the plantation. We don't have plantations in the Northwest. There are equally things in the Northwest like carrot, leeks, onion, and the rest, beans, corn, we generate from those places that they don't have such quantity. Why don't we boast of the strength of each region, of each community, when we go to the global market? When it was time to go to the World Cup, it was a Togo. That was a pride. It came as a Cameroonian attire, not a Bamenda attire. That one has taken us in the domain of tourism far. That particular attire has given us. We went to Olympics in Japan. It was a Togo that whites were putting on. It was known as a Cameroonian dress, not a Northwest dress. If at all we are able to lay emphasis and depend on the strength of each region, you will discover that the little droplets of water from all the 10 regions will make an ocean that will flow to everybody. Jealousy, bigotry, division, blackmail, bitterness, hatred, nepotism, and tribalism is the mother of division in the country. One last word. No region is strong in everything, but every region is strong in something. Let us lay emphasis on that something that every region is strong at, and then make a better Cameroon.
Coming in, the biggest problem we have is that Cameroon is being ruled by another government, so things can't just go as we may be thinking or talking. Let's all pray for this country. This one reads, good evening, Mr. Liu, excellent program. Where is the president to address the nation? Vivian, writing from Melon. The president returned from Europe today. He does not address the nation on the eve of 20th May. He does that the eve of the 11th of February, Youth Day, and also on the 31st of every year. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and your wonderful panelists, Dr. Ako and Apostle Ambe, are really speaking my mind. Thanks so much for your educative program every 7 p.m. Monday to Friday on Prime, my media Prime. Tumbele Kelvin, writing from Kong Samba. Good evening to you, Kelvin. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the crew. I'm Samuel Ndang, watching from Bamenda. More grace to your elbows. We're enjoying the program. We understand, we feel for what you guys are going out there in the Northwest and Southwest region. We know that there's lockdown, but we are glad and thankful to God that you are doing well. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Tell Apostle Ambe that go the chop for place where them tie and na for day we snake the meet up ye. I'm Valentine Archer, writing from Bonaberry. Good evening, Mr. Liu, Apostle Ambe and Doctor. I wish to ask those all what you people discuss on TV reaches Yaoundé. If Yaoundé can follow your program, how this can be rolled, then this country will be a better country, that no one will go to USA again. Maurice is writing from Boya. Good evening to you, Maurice. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm called Lambert from Bamenda. Where is CPDM, man? I love the program. Yes, the CPDM actually sent somebody. Élie Zang was supposed to be part of this edition of the program. I don't know whether he was caught in traffic or what. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Good things to you and all your panelists. I love your program. I wish to see how can the MPs manage 8.5 millions where they accepted to build of 15K for one bag of cement. Mako is writing in Bamenda. Good evening to you, Mako. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Wow, I love your program. More grace. Is Mary from Limbe. Greetings to everyone there. Mary, good evening to you. Apostle, no, Doctor. We are talking about our unity in diversity, asking whether it's time to build one identity for Cameroonians. Now, do we also, we talk about regional balance in development and a host of others, do we also need equality in the way we consider some tribes and regions, that is building this spirit in Cameroonians not to consider certain tribes more important than others?
Yeah, that is, in fact, if we need to consolidate diversity, if we need to be united, then there's a need to equally, I believe Apostle Ambe said a lot in that direction. Honestly, if we have to make up a country, like I ended, but we need to deal with the strength that we have, than what divides us. If you look at the Northwest region, a lot of people make propaganda. Government has an agenda for that region. The government is aware of the riches of every nation, every part of this country, but the government has decided to develop or come out with a strategy to exploit some regions more than it's doing in other areas that had made some people to feel like they are more important against the others. For us to develop national unity in diversity, there is a need to consider everybody as part, and everybody's culture has a role. Everybody's need, everybody's environment need to be refined. It is very important that in Cameroon, you must not leave the northern part of Cameroon to go to anywhere. If your region is developed without autonomy, people will stay where they are and nobody will eye for Yaoundé. If I wish to teach at the university and I'm coming from the north, why not stay at the University of Maroua? That is why I grew up and I'm more fitted in that environment and I continue there. There is a need equally somewhere that when we think that the best in the university is found in Bamenda, why not take that particular domain in Bamenda and bring it to the central region, because it is equally needful here. We know universities in Cameroon with strength in specific domains. We are talking of the agricultural school in the University of Chang, which we cannot compare to any other person. Is there a need that the University of Chang becomes the mentoring authority of agricultural schools concerning other areas? Yes, we have the Institute de Sahel in the north, And we know that the northern part has a specific climatic environment or weather that permits the production of certain cereals. Imagine we were having what they call stonablé, even though it has become defunct, like what we have with the rice factory in Loom. This is the wayward nature of the country. Cameroonians need what they can count in their region, and everybody need to have a force in contributing to the wealth of this nation. When you get to some places, there is cocoa in the south. One of the best places with the most beautiful and quality cocoa is the south and central region, if some people are not aware. So what is Nsungkikang doing in Douala if Douala does not produce the cocoa itself? One of the strategy in regional balance, in diversity, is that the company should be located in the area where the raw material is harvested, so that they should feel the impact. We generate the jobs that we produce there. It's a government policy. You want to set a company that has to do with palm oil processing. Nobody is proud to talk about palm oil in Cameroon if you are not talking of palm oil from the CDC. Yes. So you are located in the southwest. It's either you are there CDC, or you are not there.
CDC or Sokapam.
Or Sokapam. Yes, in terms of quantity. Sokapam and Evekam, they come behind CDC in terms of tonnage. Anyway, so if you have...
Anyway, palm oil, there is CDC, there is palm oil. Also,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's from the southwest. So the region is already blessed for that. When we talk of bananas, how can we transform bananas? In fact, this is one of the highest things we have. That we have companies located in Jombe Penja, they are paying taxes in Douala. You destroy the environment of those people. The machine and the trucks disturb them every day. But taxes are paid in Douala. They will tell you that the headquarters, the company was registered in Douala. Are you giving the strength of that area? A vacuum is found off somewhere along the Kribi, but then their headquarters will be Douala, because they said the company was registered in Douala. The people in that area, what do they enjoy? Disturbances, nuisance. They carry dirty water. They cannot bathe well. Mosquitoes will not leave them. But the people in Douala are sleeping in glass houses. If we need to accept diversity in everybody, I'm telling you, we need to develop the Menchum fault and not abandon for Lombanga, which needed us to construct artificial catchment for water. We should not look at, because it is coming from the northwest. We need to direct this nation to the path that it needs. I just sometimes tell people, if none of the crisis, I have never spent a complete year in Douala or Yaoundé without going to places. When I call places, even in the West region, people wonder, when were you there? At times you just need to move around your country and see what others are having. Just looking with your eyes fits you enough. That's why an Englishman said, traveling is part of education. But I'm sure when ministers take holidays for Geneva, they take holidays for Arizona and California without discovering their own country. There is a lot. Anybody that visits Menchumfall and come back with the same brain, then you were not born to be in Cameroon. But you want to discover places in Croatia because they have told you that they have beautiful sites. So we have artificial sites. And one of the things they don't know is that the exposition and development of each region bring the wealth of the nation. Cameroonians will be settled and calm wherever they are. The moment there is Pamol in Indian, we know that he will recruit the sons and daughters. First, the primary labor force will come from the environment. If we locate these companies, forestry in the south, it is normal that a lot of those southerners will study forestry to know which tree to plant, and which one to harvest, at what time. They would come in that scale. We need to accept, not to impose. That is what is killing Cameroon now. Because the moment you refuse, military will flog you. They will even pull a bullet, even when you are not a danger. This is what is disturbing. Okay. Cameroonians should be capable. I said we should feel Cameroon. I should not feel Bassa. I should not feel Manu. Because when I'm here, oh my loving country, people call their country not Cameroon. People call where they are coming from. I want to be in Ambe. That is my country. I want to be in Boya. That is my country. We need to feel being in Yaoundé. It is always happy being at the head, at the top of that headquarter that make up your country. We should sell the 10 regions of Cameroon. Everybody has everything to give for the wealth of this nation.
Okay. Good evening to everyone in the studio. I pray for long life for the panelists. May God use them to change this country. Bise Kupsene Uncle D writing from Moliko in Boya. Good evening to you, Mbise. Hello, sir. If you want to can make more than video, okay. This message is not too good. Now, Apostle Ambe, Valentine, and Ngwa, how do we fix, build, construct a Cameroonian identity? That is a Cameroon where Cameroonians love Cameroon more than their villages and their regions. Can we already start thinking about adopting a national language, which is from Cameroon, and amongst other things?
I think it starts with patriotism.
Okay.
Yeah. We have taught love for tribe. We've taught love for regions. We've taught love for family. We have not taught love for nation. If actually we teach the love for nation and put them as part of our curriculum in all primary, secondary, and high schools, people will learn to love their country than loving just a particular part of the country. I think if people are effectively taught what is patriotism, love for nation, sacrifice for nation, and if possible, dying for nation, nobody will raise a finger against that same nation. I have been singing this song when I had the opportunity to address some ministers in this country in a conference. 4 of them were seated, and I told them that if at all they really want love to reign in this country, they should go back to the curriculum of our institutions and plant the seed of patriotism, where people should be taught on how to love their nation, live for their nation, and if possible, die for their nation. America has so much taught its citizens about their nation that everywhere they go on earth, they will be proud of being Americans, and they will do everything possible to defend the flag of America. When you live in a country where children start burning the flag of the nation, they start abusing the very emblems that identify that nation, it's a clear indication that something is wrong with the sense of patriotism as far as a nation is concerned. If we must build a Cameroonian identity, secondly, we must give equal opportunities to all citizens. Some Cameroonians are no more Cameroonians than others. Some Cameroonians are no better looking than others. Some Cameroonians are no more intelligent than others. Some Cameroonians are no more privileged than others. People should be given the same privilege as citizens of a common country, and they have a common heritage. Everybody should be given access. There are certain responsibilities in the country that should not be coined and kept for particular individuals and kept for particular tribes or particular communities. Everybody should have access to all the privileges that exist in the country. By so doing, it will give us people a sense of belonging. It will give them the responsibility of thinking that this is our own. This is our own country. I may be driven anywhere else in the world. I should find solace in my own country. We've come to a place whereby Cameroonians don't even feel safe in their own country. I think if I'm chased away from Nigeria, chased from Burkina Faso, chased from America or England, Cameroon should be the only place that you call home. But you see, most Cameroonians are beginning to see some countries in Europe as their homes. They are beginning to see some countries out of this nation as their home because they feel more welcome, more opportune, and well placed in those countries than home. Home is not actually where you were born. Home is where you were accepted. Home is not where you were born, but home is where you were accepted. Cameroon should know that even though we're born from this country, but there are other countries that may accept us and give us eligibility as citizens of those countries more than us. I think if we come to a place of making Cameroonians known that they are not just born here, but they are equally accepted in this country, it will create a sense of oneness, commitment, and determination to fight for this country, and why not even kill yourself for the country? I'm talking to the conscience of our authorities in question. Let us make Cameroonians from far north, from Adamawa, from east, from southwest, from northwest, from the south, from center, from littoral, let them feel accepted in this community. Most Cameroonians run out of this country to other parts of the world because they feel they were born here, but they were not accepted here. Children
have a challenge in a family that they are born into and they are not accepted. Most Cameroonians don't feel accepted in this country. Let us feel accepted. It's so bad to the extent that when a Cameroonian travels out of this country, obtains another nationality in order to look for livelihood, they are not accepted back in this country as Cameroonians. No, your blood is thicker than any nationality you take in this world. Your roots, your umbilical cord, your foundation is this country. A man who left this country 10 years ago became an American because he wanted to look for livelihood in America should be given access back into this country. That is what we call acceptance. If you go to Nigeria, Nigerians go to other parts of the world, they do 419. Immediately they do those 419, they carry money. If they enter Nigeria, they are saved. Their government will defend them, protect them, because why? They are working all those things for the betterment of their country. It is not a place where you are vomited, where you need security and solace you can call home. People don't go to where they are born. They go to where they are accepted. They don't go to where they are tolerated. They go to where they are celebrated. People don't go where they are disdained, marginalized, and looked low. They go to where people look at their value and appreciate what they have. I think most Cameroonians can feel more better out of this country, celebrated out of this country, and accepted out of this country than in their own country. The ability to accept our own children, sons and daughters in this land, in their good, the bad, and the ugly, is what makes this place motherland. It's what makes this place fatherland. The opportunity we give to our children first is what makes this place motherland and fatherland. A friend of mine traveled to Ghana some years ago and entered into the city of Accra, and he said, you will not get a job until a Ghanaian has refused to work that job, to get that job. That's what makes Ghanaian accepted. Many years ago, Ghanaians were loitering the streets of Douala and Yaoundé with machines on their head, sewing, dressing, patching dresses. Some were doing shoes mending, and then finally they came with the return to Ghana policy, and Ghanaians have gone back to their country. They feel more accepted in their country. When people begin to migrate to other areas, it means they are not comfortable in their country anymore. You might not give them money, but give them the acceptance, give them the opportunity, give them the privilege to even exploit. Lastly, our policies in this country should favor Cameroonians than any other. There is something Paul Kagame said recently. He said, it's only stupid leaders that will give tax break to mining bourgeoisies and gurus and do not subsidize basic commodities in their country. There is an increase in prices of basic commodities in the world, but it will shock you that and Rwanda just dropped their fuel prices in the midst of this cacophony, in the midst of this chaos, in the midst of this anarchy and pandemonium. Kagame is instead dropping fuel price in his country. That is because he has given Rwandans the acceptance, the privilege, and the honor to know that Rwanda belongs to them. I can feel uncomfortable like a fish out of water in America, England, but not in Cameroon. Not in Cameroon. My fathers, I call you from the presidency to the legislature, right down to the judiciary, rise up in this country and give Cameroonians the sense of belonging in this country. Most of us do not feel accepted in our country. We are bleeding.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I always enjoy your programs on my Media Prime. This program has made me to understand certain things as far as national unity and integration is concerned. National unity and integration is a bond and togetherness between people regardless of their caste, creed, religion, or gender. It is a feeling of oneness, brotherhood, and social unity under communities and a society in a country for which that is lacking among us to a certain extent. I appreciate your panelists for opening our minds. I'm Adama, writing from and up. Good evening, Mr. Liu and co at the studio. I'm enjoying your program. You guys are really educating the population. Kudos. Didymus is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu. The program is really interesting. Please, where are the CPDM people to make us laugh as usual? Most of the times, I like the way these people talk and disgrace themselves in the program. Goloff is writing from Bamenda. Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu. This is Delphine from Bamenda. Your programs are very enriching. Okay, say but no results. We have to continue till we get the results. Good evening, sir, and thanks for being there for us. Maybe it is unity in diversity that has caused a bag of cement to be sold at 7,590 francs in Bamenda, while it sells at less than 5,000 francs in Bafoussam. This is Tikum Nicodemus writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and special greetings to the panelists in the studio. I'm blessed with your program. Franco Niba writing from Limbe. This one says, please let the government stop the system of divide and rule. Okay, good evening, Mr. Leo and everyone. Yes, I must testify your programs and the ideas people bring are very much interesting, but what baffles me is that I see no implementation from the government. If we were having a good government programs like this, one should be listened to by so-called leaders and then come out with a resolution, but they all keep quiet, making things worse daily. May God have mercy on us. Marcel is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu and Nelson from Bengui. I love the idea of Apostle Ambe of the natural facility. Let the government buy those ideas more, for the ideas are very rich. More grace. Thank you very much. Good evening. It's Franklin Che from Bamenda. Let's be truthful to ourselves. There is no way we can build a true Cameroon with the kind of people we have in power. What we need in Cameroon is serious prayers and fasting. Things will fall apart. Good evening to you, the maker, watching us from Boya. You say I'm enjoying the program. Hope you are doing so well out there in Mile 16. Doctor, we are talking about finding an identity that could be reflected in all Cameroonians. How do we go about that?
What identity? Sincerely, you will not come to a national identity without developing what we call the various regional identities.
Okay.
Tribal identities. As we first of all identified that the various regions have something to give, it will still be the same problem that we have been having here. If you try to impose an identity which is not nationally accepted. We need a national consensus. Okay, why not?
When you should the Bilingualism Commission not be working on something like this?
We are talking. That's why we are doing the talking. We have not said Ministry of Forestry should not listen or take or make decisions. Cameroonians need to understand. When we grew up, every school was free to taught its local language in the school where the school is located. Meaning Bakwerians should study Bakweri. You are coming from Agam, you study Agam. And that is, first of all, strengthening the level of individual standards. Before we came to Douala, when you are in Douala, you should be capable of studying the Douala language. If you find yourself in the Bassa area, you should study the Bassa. You cannot be invoking that since you are in the Bassa area, you want to study but the one from Agam, or you want to study Bayangi. These are the things that disturb this nation. Because at times we feel like what the other person is doing is to downplay on what I have. But when we feel that I am here, you are more secured here. Understanding the language of the Bassa people, first of all, comes as a protection for you, then socially integrates you. You are accepted in the community. Nobody will even know that the one standing and talking Bassa with me here is coming from Ambe. These are some of the things we are saying. A country where we feel concerned and involved, you will not feel alienated by another group, and there are what we call public excuses when certain fatal errors are made. The moment a region calls a name, I don't know what I spoke of communication. They cannot insult and put a name Anglo-fools, and we don't have a ministerial decision forbidding the use of such languages. We need to have it. A minister should come on TV just the next minute. Don't wait us to insult the head of state in Lombanga or where in Penja for you to send military to arrest that young man. It means you people are listening and you don't take decisions. Others feel things that some people are more than them because the composition of what make up the nation, they don't get it equally. Even when their sons and daughters are equally qualified. Can you get a national identity? A Cameroonian, look at the national team. We're saying, like he said, when Cameroon is playing, forget about the crisis before the crisis. There is that feeling that it is a green, red, yellow that matters. Whether I have a man from Ambe or not, that is not my concern. The fact is that Abubakar can make the goal. If I am talking today, imagine the suffering the present president of Africa would face in Kribi. You cannot buy land. A son, an industrial son of the standard, the international, like Samuel Eto'o's, you mingle over his land matters as if you are mingling with a palm wine tapper in the quarter. You bought land. Whoever had interest in that land must forgo it for this international figure. We need him in Kribi. What happened with, when you downgrade what you have at home, what happened? Foreigners take coolly. Gabon gave land for free. You don't need to struggle. Build a school. And then it's an deficit.
So they sent out liberty.
I said, check it in Gabon. Cameroonian will be going there for training. Others might have registered there already. The second next area where accept is Kenya. Kenya is calling on Samuel Eto'o to come and invest on local football in Kenya. We are unable to accept because it's a basa. Yeah, maybe if he came from Yaoundé or the south, it would have been well applauded. We need certain things when it concerns a citizen. Like I told people, sometimes the struggle between the bee and what they call Asia, a kill specialization, resulted in the death of some Cameroonians and Israelites in the forest in Bassa. It was Israel that called Cameroon military that their daughter, their son is in danger. And they took it wholly. This is what happened. One Israelite on the street of Jerusalem. People will not sleep that night. Yes. One Israelite. The identity is that our lives should matter. Everybody should matter. We cannot accept killing for 6 years and we still believe that it does not concern us. Les anglophones se fait tuer. They should kill themselves. It is not national concern. When one part of the nation is hurt, the whole nation should feel the impact. We cannot be thinking that since it is not of us, it doesn't concern me. The spirit of individualism, we must condemn it at all domains. Sports, music, culture, whatever aspect, education. Cameroon belongs to all. Let us know that at the helm of the Minister of Higher Education, it can be a Bassa as well, a Bayangi man. If it Abdullah Usman married the position, let him take it. This is what we mean. We are constructing diversity, unity in diversity. We should know those who can lead us. Why not? At the national team, who do we think? That is why I said the English system is telling us that academically, it is a university senate that chooses who will become his rector. You don't appoint them because they know who is who within the university. Who gets the dean or whatsoever should be a recommendation within the university senate of the various university. This system is perfect. It's meritocracy. It is not your turn, you don't get it. You are the head of department. You are not there because you are older than me. You are there because you impart more than I do. The moment you are there, I should respect you. You are Uga Patakpata. It's like a spiritual exercise. We want to construct unity, diversity. This is football. Look at the infrastructure of football. If not of the African Nations Cup, we would have been counting a stadium way. None. Bamenda, even when people make the noise, I have known Kumbu strikers. I have known PWD Bamenda. I'm talking of Young Sport Academy. Don't they merit even a training infrastructure? Like Belt, they are thinking somewhere in Bafang, Bafusam. Can we not train players? I mean, just a training facility of about 5,000 places after all this. That is what we call diversity, and we are united. We know the importance of the Northwest. They have 3 teams, so ever the history is rich. Give them, even if it's a 5,000-seater stadium. Without making propaganda, before they even know it, it is built. We will feel that we are concerned. Identify every culture, identify every Cameroonian, get what they want, get what the nation wants. The nation, those who call them government officials, that's why somewhere, those of us who study, there's a difference between the state and the government. The state involves all of us. The government are those who direct the mind of the state, and we move by them. Everybody in the government should have that spirit that are managing Cameroonians. Okay. Not the one that you should stay where you are. It doesn't call, when will I be in the Northwest? Okay. Imagine that feeling. Okay. Greetings once more. The apostle has triggered tears from my eyes. A home is not where you come from, but where you are accepted and celebrated. Honestly, many are part of a country that doesn't recognize them. If not, how can a government minister tell a diplomat no Anglo-Bami will ever be president in Cameroon? Maxima is writing from Boya. Ngu Paul Ngong writing from Kumba says, hello, Mr. Liu. Special greetings to our panelists today. They are speaking our minds. May God have mercy on our nation, Cameroon. Ngu Paul Ngong
from Akale Street, Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Special greetings to the panelists. I want to thank Apostle Ambe for revealing the truth concerning we are not accepted in our country. Evaristus writing from Mbopi in Douala. Greetings once more. The Apostle has triggered. Okay. People are repeating the messages. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. These gentlemen have all brilliant ideas concerning unity, but it is all falling on deaf ears. I must say we are unfortunate because it will take the will of God to take us out of the situation in which we are. All I can say is that you guys just do your best to educate the masses. One day a miracle can manifest. Tomorrow on Prime Hour, we hope to have Professor Julius Victor Ngwa, as well as Eric Chinji. I hope they accept to be part to actually explain to us what we are celebrating on the 20th of May, Prime Hour, 7 p.m. Live. We are very grateful for your presence, Apostle. Thank you, Mr. Liu. Thank you, Cameroonians, for giving us your attention. We are privileged to educate you. God bless you. Also, immense gratitude to you for coming.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Mr. Leonard, saying that Cameroonians, we love the country Cameroon, we need to do it for Cameroon, and that we are going to pass away, but the nation Cameroon will remain. Okay, we also want to thank you all who took time off to watch this edition of Prime Hour. Thank you to you, Élie and Desmond, as well as to you, Tabi Tambe Bryant, supervising our work out here. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.